This is the City of Waupaca, first Tuesday of the month, City Council meeting.
To our rescheduled City Council meeting. Today is Wednesday, April 6th, 2022, and I will call this meeting to order, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and we'll ask Barb to read the clerk's open meeting statement for us.
This meeting and all meetings of the Common Council are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin state statutes, so the citizens may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting.
And Barb, would you take roll?
Brian Smith,
Here.
Colin Dykstra,
Here.
Lori Chestnut,
Here.
Paul Hagan,
Here.
Alan Keelan,
Here.
Scott Perchatsky,
Here.
Dave Peterson,
Here.
Paul Mayo,
Here.
Dimitri Martin,
Here.
Eric Olson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thanks, Barb. And again, as normal, I'm going to just send it around the room for the
Public hearing?
So, first up, we have a public hearing before we get into the regular city council meeting. And that public hearing has to do with ordinance number 05-2022. This is an ordinance amending chapter 17 of the City of Waupaca zoning ordinance. And it has to do with land uses, so I'm gonna just have Jared quickly explain what this public hearing is about.
Thank you, Mayor. So this one, actually, the agenda item does start on page 54 of your packet. There's a red line on page 55 for anyone viewing the packet. For this proposed ordinance, it's adding a couple of different land uses to our residential land use section. One is a cleanup, so dwelling, single-family dwelling, attached zero lot line, a very fancy way of saying condo. Was not permitted in the R3 district, although we do have condo plats and condos in other current R3 districts in the city. So making that a permitted use, as we already currently have allowed them, may have just been a oversight or a mistake when we originally had redone the zoning code. The next one on the list is for the live-work unit. So this is specifically located within our B7 district. Really would be doing a name change to the live work unit to make it more clear. Currently it's named multifamily residential mixed use, which kind of gets confused with upper story residential uses. They are different, but just cleaning it up, trying to really clarify, make it consistent throughout the code, what it's called, and then making that permit in the B7. Row house, townhouse. So as we kind of look at River North, we talk to developers, the idea of row houses, townhouses, they are coming back. Currently we did only have them in the B7 district, which, looking at the B7 district and our other commercial districts, as well as the multifamily district, this is also the location where we'd like to see these. And then also the upper story residential units was permitted in all this in the B2, B3, and B4 districts, but not the B1. So adding that as a permitted use. Happy to take any questions when that time comes.
Thanks, Jared. So, as we said before, this is a public hearing, so this is the opportunity for the public to speak on these ordinances. So if you'd like to speak to the council members on this, please step up to the podium. Give your name and address for the record, and limit your time at the podium to 3 minutes or less. Anybody that would like to give public comment? In favor of? Anybody that would like to give testimony in opposition? If not, I'll declare these hearings closed at 6:07 PM. We'll move right into the city council meeting.
Sorry, there are two other ordinance
I thought you
changes.
read those both.
Oh, I did not. I apologize. I did not go through
Let's
those.
keep going then.
I will go through all of them. My apologies.
No, you should do one at a time. So we'll do one and then we'll ask and we'll do the third one.
I can do that.
Yeah. I sure am getting corrected a lot. Well, you want to take over?
So ordinance 622. So this one is just a cleanup of a definition of transitory accessory structure. So in here, there was language that indicated that yard sheds or the smaller yard sheds did not need to be permitted, which does contradict what our building inspection department requires. So just trying to clean that up, make that more consistent, eliminate any confusion. And that's really it for that one.
Okay. All right, so this is ordinance number 06/2022. Again, it is a public hearing, so anybody that would like to give testimony in favor of this ordinance change, please step up to the podium, give your name and address for the record, limit your time to 3 minutes or less. Any testimony in favor of? Any testimony in opposition? All right, I'll declare this hearing closed at 6:08 PM. Next one is ordinance number 07/2022. It's an ordinance amending chapter 17 of the zoning code to amend 17.318 as it deals with site plan review. Eric?
Thank you, Mayor. So this one starts on page 59 of the packet for anyone that is viewing. There is a red line that starts on page 65. So really this one is just, again, some cleanup. We did add change of use permits into the zoning code. That's really checking for zoning compliance. That really was not outlined in the site plan review. So adding those in there. Just indicating the different approval levels, so what staff approves, what plan commission approves. Again, just some light cleanup, adding clarification regarding the conditional or the change of use permit. As we get down to page 67 of the red line, there are outlined, again, just some cleanup, dealing with refuse and recycling in the B2 district. And then the major one is the addition of specific requirements for change of use site plans. So prior, the change of use followed all of the other typical new construction site plans, which talked about the different facade requirements, things that didn't really matter to an existing building, which confused many applicants, and also can be confusing to staff. Or anyone else who is unfamiliar looking at it. So adding that section in there just to really make it clear, again, adding clarity, cleaning things up.
All right, thanks, Jared, for that explanation. Again, this is a public hearing for ordinance 07/22. We would take any testimony in favor of this ordinance change. Anybody that would like to give testimony in favor? Any testimony in opposition? Any testimony in opposition? I'll declare this hearing closed at 6:11 PM. All right, I'm going to look around before I start this meeting now. Okay, so let's go ahead and start the regular scheduled city council meeting. Barb has already taken roll. We have 10 of the 11 council members are here. Mary Fair has told us in advance that she would not be able to attend tonight. So we do have a quorum, as Barbara stated. I would like to see the city representatives, the department heads, introduce themselves, and I'll start with you, Barb, of course.
Barb Nowak, Deputy Clerk.
Aaron Jensen, City Administrator.
Kathy Kaza, Finance Director, City Treasurer.
Sue Abrahamson, Children's Librarian and Interim Library Director.
Jared Rakey, Community and Economic Development Director.
Justin Behrens, Director of Public Works.
Andrew Whitman, Park and Rec Director.
Brian Hosell, Police Chief.
Thank you.
Josh Warner's absent.
Josh is in the back room hiding, so Josh Warner, our IT individual, will be in and out throughout the night. Okay, next up, you have the agenda in front of you. We are talking about the consent agenda. I guess there is one item that got uploaded to the city website, and that's just a list of the bills that were uploaded to your council packet. With that said, you have a number of items that are on the consent agenda. We usually vote on all of these items with one motion, unless a council member would like to see any of these items moved to the regular agenda, where we would vote on these individually.
Move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
Motion by Keelan, second by Martin, that we approve the consent agenda with that one addition. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Regular agenda, there is no additions, so what you see is what you have for that. So we'd be looking for a motion to approve the regular agenda.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Chestnut, second by Peterson, that we approve the regular agenda as printed. Discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. Under non-agendas and announcements, we have a few presentations of certificates of appreciation tonight, and we'll start, first of all, we have Officer Matthew Batty, who was unable to attend tonight, and he has 5 years of service with the city, and so we have a certificate of appreciation that Chief Hosell will get to him. We are fortunate to have Officer Tom Grant with us tonight, and he also has 5 years of service to the city. So, Tom, if you want to come up and bring the chief up too, so he can make some good comments about you.
I didn't realize I had to talk about it.
Short? Okay. So this is a certificate of appreciation to Tom Grant for his 5 years of service to the city of Waupaca. Tom, thank you. Go ahead and say something if you'd like.
I'll talk and then you can finish. How's that sound? So if all of you remember, a little over a year ago when we created that new position with the drug officer, Tom's dressed this way for a reason. He's been working all afternoon and just got done, but he's been doing an excellent job in our community, and just really know that you don't always get to see the things or read about things in papers. Tom is somebody that gives 110% all the time, and if you have anything that's going on in the middle of the night and a call comes in, Tom picks up his phone and he comes in. It's hard to find people like that. Just really happy he's a part of our department. Thanks. Thanks.
I'm actually not done. I'm going back to the office.
All right. Thank
That
you.
was as good as. All right, next up, we have some council members that have hit some milestones. Alderperson Mary Fair has 5 years of service to the city of Waupaca, so we do have a certificate for her. She was unable to attend tonight, as I said before. Alderperson Scott Prochatsky has 15 years of being a council person for the city of Waupaca. So Scott, thank you. I'll give you that certificate. And Paul Mail, 20 years on city council. Paul? Goes fast, doesn't it? Either one of you guys want to say anything at all? Scott, Paul?
It's been an honor to serve with this council, past councils, and city staff. Thank you.
Same here. I appreciate the opportunity to be on the council, and it's been a pleasure serving with a lot of new faces and faces I've seen for a while. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Scott. And Scott has been elected to the county board last night, so congratulations, Scott. All right, let's move on. We have a couple of annual report presentations tonight, and I see that Julie Iden is here from the library. She's the library board president. Sue, do you want to say a few things first?
Sure.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Did I say that out loud?
I know. First of all, I would say that as a member of our community, I'm very proud of the support that our community provides the library, and it does make the library a special place. And every day, the library is reminded that in comparison to other communities, we have a real gem of a library. And when you work at a place, sometimes you go, yeah. But people like Julie, who have been on our library board for a long time, have seen the progress and the strategic planning and the work we put in. And I'm really proud that even during a pandemic, this report shows tremendous growth and tremendous change in our organization. And I think a greater appreciation for being part of a city organization that supports us as well. So, Julie, go right ahead.
Thank you this evening for giving me the opportunity to talk to you about our library. The 2021 annual report is submitted to the state every year by March 1st. And I'm going to give you kind of a breakdown of our statistics that we submit to the state. In 2021, our library continued to provide materials and services while using the backbone of our long-range plan, concentrating on our mission, vision, and values. We intentionally tested new ideas based on the ideals set forth in the plan, created by library staff, board members, and community partners back in 2019. Library materials are made available in many formats, to accommodate the information, educational and recreational and literacy needs of our community. The new InfoSoup, our library catalog, provides a robust online portal that reaches beyond the walls of the library. In the last year, our library staff recognized the increasing need for downloadable material and petitioned the board to support a new format, Hoopla. Hoopla allows Waupaca cardholders who live in Waushara and Waupaca counties to access an additional almost 900,000 items, including movies, ebooks, music, comics, and audiobooks, with no holds or waiting. At this time, patrons are allowed 3 downloads per month per library card. But we just didn't circulate books, movies, audiobooks, and video games. The children's department circulates STEM toys, games, and puzzles. There's a collection of puzzles available in the adult department. Wonder Books is a new AV format that replaces the book on CD by reading the book to the child. The audio portion is actually included right inside of the book. Many families today don't have access to a CD player to play CD books any longer. Access to technology is an area of focus in our strategic plan. We added laptop computers, hotspots, and the Friends of the Library provided funds for CD, DVD players to check out from our library. This year, we secured a grant to circulate hotspots. 13 hotspots, or Wi-Fi units, circulated a total of 225 times in 2021, with at least 61 unique users. I'm really pleased to say that this program will be able to continue with funds through an anonymous donor. In 2021, we increased the number of computers and devices with internet access in the library, including 5 new laptops that can be checked out by patrons. The Library Foundation provided funding for new computer tables with added distance and privacy, as well as stations that allow sit-stand options. In 2021, we had almost a 6% increase in library card holders, with 545 new card holders just in 2021. We have a service population of 15,000, and I'm really proud to say that 63% of our service population have library cards. We answer questions in person, through email, by telephone, and chat at our service desk. The circulation of physical items saw an increase in 2021 over 2020. Access to ebooks and downloadable content really works for library patrons who have become accustomed to the convenience of the technology. Library staff continued to provide curbside services even after the library reopened. There are no plans to discontinue this service. The convenience of being able to stay in your car and have books brought to you really helps families and people with mobility issues, so we're going to continue that service. Book packs are chosen for an individual or a family based on their reading interests. The number of book packs created were greater in 2021 than in 2020. In cooperation with other community partners, we provided make and take kits to help engage families in making something or learning something new. OWLS reported that the InfoSoup Consortium is in the top 10 libraries in the state for sharing material from one library to another. Recently, the number of holds allowed per patron increased from 25 to 50. In 2021, we saw the library expand the programming offerings to include outdoor in-person programming in the city parks, at the depot, the airport, and on the front lawn. In addition, there was a robust offering online. We found that we were better able to serve families with our online on-demand programs, accessible when and where families chose to access them. And in the bottom picture in the slideshow here, you can see 2 students watching Sue and Baby Bear during story time. Personnel continues to be our biggest expenditure for the library at about 73%. We are open 58 hours a week, and that means staffing all departments while providing services, programs, materials, and keeping our building safe and clean. The FTEs, or full-time equivalents, are about 14 and a half full-time positions. This includes the hours put in by cleaning staff and our building maintenance supervisor. Most of the funds to operate the library and take care of the building are tax supported. However, grants, fees, and donations help make the library really great. The library was able to secure grant money this year, almost $5,000. This included a community foundation grant for hotspots secured by grant writer Greg Groman, a University of Wisconsin grant for Asian Studies, which included exhibit and materials, federal CARES grants, and OWL scholarships. Other sources of income include support from community members who donate to the Waupaca Public Library Foundation and Friends of the Library book sales. There are copy fees and funds to replace books or materials that are lost and damaged. And in 2020, the library board followed the strategic plan and eliminated all overdue fees. The other income came to over $38,000. Getting out of the building to provide services safely remained a priority last year. We participated in big community celebrations, including Kite Day as a part of our Asian Studies grant, and after Main Street was finished, we were there to celebrate with the city. OWLS, the Outagamie Waupaca Library System that we are a member of, continued to support the Waupaca Library this past year. They have supported the library in the process of hiring a new director, offered continued education opportunities and scholarships, provided technology support, including purchasing computers, computer setup, web design, and maintenance, and also troubleshooting technology issues. They continued delivery of library materials, administered care grants, provided library management system, reporting data, and enhanced an enhanced online catalog. Offered opportunities for networking with staff in other libraries, and provided guidance on services during the pandemic. The mission, vision, and values are the guiding principles of the library for the important work that we do in our community. At times we change the plan, but our goals remain the same. Thank you.
Julie, thank you. Anybody that would like to ask either Sue or Julie any questions or comments? Go ahead, Laurie.
I would just like to say thank you to Julie. And, you know, being on the library board as part of being on city council has just been a wonderful adventure. And I hear new exciting stuff all the time now, moving on. And it's thank you. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Julie, thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate it. All right, we have another annual report presentation, and that's actually by our police department, and I see that Jim Scholes is here tonight. Chief Ozell, you want to introduce him?
Commissioner Schultz has been with us for a long time, going about 15 years.
At least
15 years. So it's nice to have Commissioner Schultz on our department to give guidance and everything else. But he's been with us for a long time.
24 years.
24 years. Thank you. I did not know.
I haven't aged a day. Okay, my name is James Schultz. I live at 1506 Foxfire Court in Waupaca. I'm a 24-year veteran of the Waupaca Police and Fire Commission, and I appreciate the opportunity to bring this information to your attention. Mayor Smith, Mr. Jensen, Ms. Nowak, ladies and gentlemen of the council, and esteemed guests here and at home. Your Waupaca Police Department has 18 officers and 3 civilian employees. Together, these are the men and women that protect and serve our city, which encompasses over 8 square miles, nearly 50 miles of streets and roads, and home to more than 6,000 people. In addition to that, our department serves the more than 30,000 people who live within a 15-mile radius of Waupaca. To accomplish this enormous undertaking, we work extensively with other police departments, county, state, and federal law enforcement. For us, 2021 saw some staff changes, and due to the pandemic, we had staff challenges as well. Sick time was a biggie, over 500 hours of sick time lost to COVID. Today, we can say that most of our officers are vaccinated or have had COVID, and we're hoping that the worst of the pandemic is behind us. Whatever the challenges we face, we are still required to stay at the top of our game and continue our education and training to maintain our certification. 24 hours or more of training for every single officer is required. And last year, that meant some virtual sessions, some in-class sessions, and some in-the-field sessions. And it was a mix for everybody. Specialized training for our department included supervisor leadership, taser instructor. Everybody knows how they work, but somebody has to know how to train new officers how they work. Field training officer, Blue Courage, mental health issues for officers, not only for the officers' well-being, but for the people they serve. Drug enforcement, undercover operations, sexual assault, SWAT, firearms training. All of these trainings continue every year regardless. Pandemics, weather, recession. Most of what people think they know about SWAT is what they see on TV or in the movies. And the fact is, some of that stuff is actually pretty close to reality. Some of our SWAT activities are included on pages 9 and 10 of this report. Among the most difficult crimes our officers deal with are what are described as sensitive crimes. Sensitive crimes include sexual assault, child abuse, domestic violence. All of our officers are trained in investigating these very complex issues. Since it is an officer that a victim normally has first contact with in one of these trauma-filled situations, it is up to the officer to handle that tension, emotion-filled situation and still gather the evidence and information necessary to proceed with a crime scene investigation. And during 2021, all of the sensitive crime categories were up. And I want to say that again. Last year, every one of the sensitive crime issues, sexual assault, child abuse, domestic violence, were up. There are also property crimes. Over 130 property crimes were reported last year. Theft, burglary, vehicle theft, fraud. Fraud was a really biggie last year. Fraud complaints made up almost a third of our calls, and many of those fraud calls are COVID-related. People who are getting some kind of help or relief as a result of the pandemic, were targeted by some pretty nasty people. In all, over $187,000 in property was stolen last year. And over 95% of it was recovered and returned to its rightful owner. I'm going to say that again, too. $187,000 worth of stuff stolen, and 95% of it we got back. For you to compare, the national average is 28.9%. Chief, congratulations to you and the team. Hell of a job. Our drug investigator handled over 80 drug-related incidents in the city and more than 50 more working with the Central Wisconsin Drug Task Force. Pages 11 through 16 will show a breakdown of all of the crimes in our community that we had to deal with. Now, something new that we have this year, thanks to local donations, Waupaca PD acquired and is using TrueNarc, which is a safer, more efficient technology which identifies most drugs without having to handle or touch them. So this is safer for everybody involved. Okay, quick show of hands. How many people like to look in the rearview mirror and see a squad car? Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, Waupaca Police Department last year responded to 274 traffic crashes. Now, that's a 19% increase over the previous year. But interestingly enough, that's 9% lower than the 5-year average. We have no explanation for that. We just find it interesting. On the same note, 2021, there was a 38% increase in traffic citations issued. There was a 45% increase in the number of warnings issued. And, well, that sounds like quite a lot. That's only 2% more than the 5-year average. What does that mean? Up to you to decide. Pages 17 through 26 in this report list the actual crimes, how many of each one occurred. Pages 27 through 31 have some charts to show you how that's changed over the years. More lists of crimes that's put there for anybody who's really into statistics. And seriously, our officers are involved in this community every day in a myriad of ways. Coaching youth sports, high school athletics, members of local organizations, volunteering to help out at local events. 2 of our cops are on the fire department as well. Now, if you'd like to learn more about some of what we do when we're not on duty, if you check pages 5 through 8, you will find just a whole series of activities that show just how involved our department is. And in closing, I'd like to say again that Waupaca is very fortunate to have the department we do, and it's not an accident. We work at it every day. And when you get a moment, if you would read nothing else, just read page 2 of this report, and you'll get some insight into who our officers are and why they're here. Every day, these are the men and women who stand between us and the bad guys who want to hurt us or take what is ours. They stand behind us when the times get tough, and they stand beside us as good neighbors in our community. I want to thank you for your attention. I'll be happy to answer any questions that I can, and those I can't, I will refer to Chief Holzell.
Thank you, Jim. Anybody have any questions or comments for Jim or for the Chief? Thank you for that very good report.
Thank you for your attention, ladies and gentlemen.
Just wanted the public to know and City Council that both of these annual reports are placed on file, and you'll see these on the website. So if you would like to get more in-depth information on either one of these, you can go to our website or contact the clerk's office, and they would get those for you. Another presentation we have tonight, we have Lindsay from the Waupaca Farmers. She's our manager of the Waupaca Farmers Market, and Lindsay is actually online tonight. And Aaron, I'm going to let you introduce her.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor Smith. So this is Lindsay. You'll see her online in the bottom corner of your screen. I'll get her a little larger here quickly. She's got some things she wants to go through and some plans that we're looking at. With Main Street construction, we had a temporary change in the location of the farmers market, and she's looking to go back to another area. Actually, I'm seeing on here that we have this under presentation, so it'll be the first time that council sees this tonight. We'll have to put it as an action item at the April 19th meeting just to formally give approval for this location for the farmers market. But Lindsay will provide all the information that they're hoping for as the farmers market plans for the 2022 summer. So Lindsay, with that, I'll kick it off, or I'll let you kick it off.
Sounds great. And actually, can we scroll up to the, I have an attachment above that. Yeah, they'd like to start with. Yeah.
There you go.
So just to start by giving a report on our data from last year. So just like between 2019 and 2020, we had a pretty big increase in all of our numbers. So our vendors brought in over almost $93,000 for the entire year, our entire season. So that was an increase from about $65,000 the previous year. We were visited by a little over 12,000 people over the season. Our SNAP program also received a pretty large boost. So the SNAP program is our food stamps. And so people are able to come to the market, swipe their food stamp card. They receive tokens that act like market currency, and they can spend that on fresh foods at the market. We had a total of $1,940 in SNAP benefits, which was an increase of about $1,000 over the previous year. Along with that program, we have our double dollar days, which the market provides up to a $10 match to people when they swipe their SNAP card so that they can purchase additional items. And so that number last year, we gave away $653 basically of free food to people. We processed about 138 SNAP transactions. So we, and that's throughout the whole season. So about 138 people we serviced using their food stamp benefit. And on average, we had about 20 vendors participate in the market. Every week we had about 28 vendors total that vended throughout the entire season. again, a pretty big increase over the previous year. So any questions about any of the data from last year?
Well, thanks, Lindsay. Keep going.
I'll ask her one.
Oh, I'm sorry. We do have a question. This is Colin is doing.
Lindsay, how many weeks did the program run?
So we run from the middle of May. Like this year, it'll be, I think it's May 13th is that first Saturday. Middle of May through the end of October.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? All right. Go ahead.
All right. So then, yeah, we can scroll down to our map. So trying to find a good home for the market. It's grown significantly, kind of outgrown spaces that we've used in the past. And so we are proposing that on Saturdays, we use East Fulton Street to vend from. So the street would be closed off to the market, and we would have vendors lined up on both sides of the street. And customers, you would be able to park at the library all throughout the square. You would have vendors parking down by the park, so they're not taking spaces downtown. This allows our vendors to have really easy access. They liked Midtown Motors last year because they could just pull right in, unload, load. It was really convenient for them. So they'll have that same convenience here, but it'll be nice to be back downtown, supporting more directly downtown. Also, I think this gives us a really great visibility. We've already had big increases year after year with customers. I think that this location being as visible as it is, I think will just be of great value for the market to use the space. So, so we would be proposing, like Aaron said, on the next meeting, then we would vote on if we can use the space. Does anybody have any questions about using East Fulton Street for our market?
Yeah, Paul Hagan would like to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
I just wondered if the spaces such as 7 and 8 and 26, which are larger than the other ones, are those different fees, or is it all the same thing?
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear the question.
Use your mic.
All right, I apologize. Are spaces such as 8, 7 or 8, or 27 and 26, are those different fees because they're larger?
Yeah, so the more space that you use, the more your fee is. And so we have like one vendor who uses like 3 spaces and they pay for those 3 spaces separately. And then a couple of, several vendors that use like a double space. So there are different price ranges for those based on people who vend the full season or just on a daily basis.
Anybody else have any? Paul Mayo, go ahead.
If Midtown Motors worked out so well last year, why not just return there?
A lot of people like to be right downtown. Me personally, I had to store my things for the market in a business that was closer to Midtown Motors versus being able to store it right in my office in City Hall. So it's more convenient for me. There were a lot of concerns with traffic backup on Fulton Street turning onto the street by Midtown Motors from customers and vendors. Also, we kind of maxed out that space. And so there was only room for us to put in maybe another 2 or 3 vendors based on what we had last year. And so this setup at this location allows us quite a few more vendors to be able to set up, because we can even set up, right down the middle of the road as well if we need to in the future. So the extra space was one of the biggest reasons.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? Thanks, Lindsay. And as Lindsay has said, and Aaron, you will see this on the agenda at next meeting, which is held on April 19th. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to public input. Public input is for non-agenda items. It's an opportunity for the somebody in the audience or council members or staff that would like to speak to the council on a non-agenda item. So if there's anybody that would like to, please step up to the podium, give your name and address for the record, and limit your time at the podium to 3 minutes or less. Anybody? All right, and Aaron we did get one public input once, or Aaron just...
Yep, so all council members should have received an email through the public input email to their emails from Mr. Boyd Thiel, and he is a property owner actually in the town of Waupaca. That has to do with the development in the River North area. There's going to be a public hearing where he will come and share his opinions, and if he can't make it, we'll read that at that meeting. But just wanted to note, we will place that on file. If you've not received that, let me know. I'll get it to you. And if you have any questions, also let me know.
All right, with that said, we'll move on to unfinished business. We have ordinance number 08-2022. This is an ordinance amending Chapter 17 of the Waupaca City Traffic Code as it pertains to operation and the parking of motor vehicles in public parking lots. And this is the second reading, so hopefully you are prepared to vote on those tonight. But Justin, you want to just recap this here?
I will, sir. Thank you. We had a couple things we wanted to clean up. The first section, there was an issue with reference to an address. So we cleaned up how we described the parking lots. We added a parking lot since, over the last year, quote-unquote old Midtown Motors in the corner of Washington and Fulton Street. We added that parking lot onto this, or in this section, excuse me. And then with that, we kind of reordered it so it made it a little more clear. So parking lots 1, 2, and 3 can be the overnight parking. Parking lots 4, 5, 6 cannot be overnight, which is no change from the previous, except for adding the new lot on the corner of Fulton and Washington. And then finally, we wanted to codify the cost for the permit, and then also make it a prorated basis per month. That was something that came to council several years ago, but was never actually implemented or put within our code. So we've been operating that way, and we just wanted to make it official. So, second reading tonight, this, upon approval, goes in the books.
All right. Thank you, Justin. Anybody ready to make a motion tonight?
So move.
Second.
Motion by Chestnut, second by Martin, that we approve ordinance number 08-2022. Any discussion? Barb, call the roll. Sorry, Sandy, Barb.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Alan Keelan,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
9 ayes, 1 absent. Motion carried.
All right. Justin, thank you. Barb, thanks. Under new business, we have approval of a rental hangar space number 6 agreement to EAA Chapter 444. Paul Hagan.
On page 22 of your packet is the hangar space agreement between the City of Waupaca and EAA Chapter 444 commencing March 1st. This was approved at the airport board. The airport board is quite pleased to have them there. So with that, I would make that in the form of a motion for approval.
Okay, we have a motion by Hagan.
Second.
Second by Keelan, that we approve of the rental of hangar space number 6 agreement to EAA Chapter 444. Any discussion?
I don't know. Are you guys from Chapter 444?
No.
Nope,
we're
okay.
No.
All right, I thought perhaps they were.
Nope. No. Okay. Okay. So anyway, or Barb will call the roll. God darn it. I'm sorry.
That's two.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Alan Keelan,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
9 ayes, 1 absent, motion carried.
All right, and the next one is a site plan review and a sign permit, and this is you also, Paul?
I was
But you
kind of
can
hoping for a little help with this one.
Yeah, Jarrett will take over for you.
Thank you.
Happy to take over for this one. Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much, Mayor. So this one starts on page 24 of your packets. The site plan and the sign, they kind of go hand in hand. So situation we ran into, per our zoning code, it is required that any site plans, change of uses, any business going into the airport has to go through Airport Board, Plan Commission, and Common Council. As a note, something hoping to work with our new airport manager to kind of remedy that code, maybe lean a little more on the airport manager rather than sending it through all of those different meetings. Just putting in a couple more rules in writing in the code to kind of make it easier. But again, a future discussion looking at changing. But this one in specific is for Clat Aero, which is a mechanic business out at the airport. They are renting a space. They have been operating out there. This is more of a cleanup, as staff didn't realize they needed to go through each of the different meeting or airport board, plan commission, and council for this. But sending it through now to finalize everything and make sure it's all good on our end. The signage is a little bit of a different story. So currently, the way our zoning code reads and our signage code reads, we do not allow any signage out at the airport, which does seem a bit odd as we have different businesses out there. I think this was an oversight as we were originally doing our zoning code, but something caught now. And again, as I work with the airport manager, something we would add the signage regulations in for the airport, and then we can make sure everything's good from there. But for now, that sign, the sign application, sending it through, again, same process, airport board, plan commission, and council for approval. If approved, it would all go through, and permits would be issued from the Community Economic Development Department. In terms of the land use, the change of use application, again, it's an airport mechanic business. Fits right in with what you would expect out at an airport. The signage, again, is, I think, very well done. It fits in pretty well every district that we have signage requirements in. So really there would be no reason that any of this would be denied if it was in one of several districts. Recommended by the airport board, recommended by the plan commission, and also recommended by staff.
All right, thank you. Jarrett, Paul, anything you want to add to that?
Other than a motion to approve.
Okay. Motion by Hagan.
Second.
Second by Martin, that we approve of the site plan change and of use and the sign permit for Clat Aerial LLC. Any discussion? All right, Barb will call the roll.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Alan Keelan,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
9 ayes, 1 absent, motion carried.
Right. And 9C, we would like to present for your consideration tonight, airport manager position. Paul, you can get help from Aaron this time, so.
Well, I'll set it up.
Okay, good.
So with the change of airport manager, we had interviews. We requested bids and applications. The applications were both open to individuals and companies for management. We had 4 applications. We went through initial interviews and then asked 2 of them back. This group recommended Clat Arrow, and they have accepted, and I believe everything has been signed and taken care of. So for changeover at the end of this month. So go ahead if you have anything further.
He just wants to touch on the contract.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul. Paul, you hit on every one of my notes. So
Yeah,
well
excellent.
done. To get into the contract and the terms of the contract on page 44 in your packet, this is a very similar template to what we've used in the past with Plain Guys Aviation and Beth Christensen. But I'm going to touch on a few things that are different, which I highlighted in my other one. So, let's see here. So a couple of the changes within the contract.
Some of us here can't even use one computer, and you're working on.
I'm trying. It's not working all that hot. So one of the changes is hours of operation. So you'll see on page 47, hours of operation, we have the operator agrees to maintain a minimum of 40 hours per week and to operate the airport for the use of the benefit to the public. The operator agrees to bring a proposal of staffing hours to the airport within the first 60 days, the airport board within the first 60 days of starting employment. In speaking with Matt and Brittany Klatt, who are in the audience tonight, I'll give them an opportunity to speak and introduce themselves. By the way, guys, Clat Arrow, who just came forward with the other site plan and sign approval, that is them. That is our proposed new airport manager as well. They know that the minimum of 40 hours a week is probably not going to meet the needs of our airport users and the wishes of the airport board. But we're going to give them that opportunity to work there for a little bit and then propose some hours that do work that may be different than we've had in the past. Compensation, I'll go over that next. That's also starts on page 47. So this, just to give you some perspective, the past contract did have, it was about between $86,000 and $87,000 for the contract with Clat Arrow. One of the differences is Clat Arrow has been the aviation mechanic on grounds for a little bit. So they do operate their own business there. They'll continue to. One thing I've learned through this process is having that mechanic at our airport is an incredible value. And it's something that draws people into airports. If you don't have that mechanic on site, people may not stop at your airport. So that is something we're excited about and excited to keep them in that capacity. You'll see the $6,250 per month, or which equals $75,000 per year, is what we're looking at here, and Matt and Brittany have agreed to that. A couple of other things within the contract that are important to point out are we want to set this position up to succeed, which I think council will be seeing as a repetitive theme in the future here in the next meetings. But we want to provide them up to $3,000, and this was a suggestion from Airport Board, for training, and up to $3,000 for marketing the airport. One thing that we feel like will help bring extra revenue in, offset costs, is to market that airport as an asset to aviation users and the community. Another thing I should point out that we are also writing in here that the city administrator and airport board could sign off on requests that if 1 year training maybe needed to be $4,000 and marketing was $2,000, we could make that adjustment within the $6,000. And that was a suggestion by Paul. I thought it made a lot of sense. So that's a little bit on that. Furthermore, in compensation, we felt there was an opportunity. We know that one of the primary goals with the airport is to help mitigate the reliance on the general fund. So over the course of a few years, we've had to depend more on the general fund year after year, and that's been a trend. We've talked with Matt and Brittany about that and the importance of looking at costs, looking at revenue generating opportunities. That was one of the reasons that we thought that they were a great fit. They've got a lot of creative ideas and a ton of passion for the airport and making it better. And we wanted to tie an incentive to that. So we as you can see here, it says if the operator, being the city, the owner agrees, being the city, that if the operator reduces reliance on the general fund by 25% compared to the budget actual for 2021, the owner agrees to provide a bonus of $2,500 in that case. If it's reduced by 50%, that bonus goes up to $5,000, and if it's reduced by 75%, the bonus goes up to $7,500. Just a little FYI, I think it was out of all airports in the state of Wisconsin, I believe I know for sure it was under 35%, potentially under 30% are self-reliant. So it's possible, it's a challenge, but our goal is to work with Matt and Brittany towards that. The term of the agreement, this would be a 3-year term, and we would have the opportunity to renew after that. Typically in the past, the airport manager has received the same pay increase, cost of living pay increase as all other employees, non-represented employees. And I think that covers the key points. Paul, did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Paul, do you want to introduce Matt and Brittany?
Well, I think they can do a great job themselves.
All right.
You want to come up and just...
To the podium there, it would be great.
Hi, for anybody that doesn't know me, my name is Matthew Klatt, and this is my wife, Brittany. And we operate Klatt Aero at the airport. I've been out there for 14 years since I got my pilot's license. And for the past 6 years, we've operated Klatt Aero, doing maintenance and restorations on airplanes. And we're really excited about the opportunity to grow the airport, make it a real part of the community, having activities outside of aviation that can draw in more people. And we're really excited, have some great ideas. And with this contract, I truly believe we are set up to succeed. And we really look forward to working with the city.
The airport board was extremely pleased that you took the position and that you applied for it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions of Matt or Brittany at this time? Or of Paul or the airport board or Aaron, our administrator? Yeah, go ahead, Colin.
Is there any, I don't even know how to ask it correctly, but consideration to make sure that it's open during EAA an extended period of time so that we're not, I see a 40-hour contract. I'd assume just to do what you want to do with it, you'd keep it open, but is that something we want to require as a benefit to the city within our contracting, or something you've considered at all?
That was considered and brought up, and the hours of 40 are flexible for instance, in the dead of winter when there's going to be less traffic and less need, there might be less hours than that versus during EAA where there's going to be plenty of need for hours. So that there was flexibility that was agreed upon for that to happen.
Okay.
Matt, do you want to add anything to the EAA and how you feel you're going to handle that time?
Yeah,
period?
just the fact that during AirVenture, Klatt Aero as a business, our hours are pretty much never ending out there, but our presence at the airport in any given week will far exceed the 40-hour requirement, and especially during AirVenture, we understand the challenges and the requirements needed during that time. We've we've gone through several years just as our business out there, and as a part-time employee of our outgoing manager, we've dealt with those challenges before, and we continue to still approach them from the same point of view.
I guess it's in your best interest to do it on your own without any sort of contract or requirement, but I don't know. I just thought I'd bring it up. It's such an important event for the
Rest assured, our
the state.
interest is in attracting and accommodating as many visitors as possible during that time.
Okay,
And
great.
Mayor, if you don't mind, I'd make one comment on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Colin, just kind of an FYI. So the airport hours are set by the airport board, and those will remain in effect as they have been, which certainly accommodates for that EAA and those large weekend events. So any changes in that will have to be approved, and that I know they'll take that into consideration, and that will be reported back to council as well.
All right, great.
Okay. With that said, we would be looking for a motion to approve our agreement.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Chestnut, second by Prochaski, that we approve a contract with Matt and Brittany Klatt, Klatt Aerial LLC for airport manager position. And this is a 3-year term that ends on April 30th of 2025 with an option to renew for 3 additional years. Any further discussion? Paul, I hope that you take this to your airport board, and I do want to thank the airport board for all their work in getting an airport manager. I know, Aaron, you were a part of that. I was a little part of that also, but especially your airport board was very instrumental in getting the best group that we could get to
Thank
run
you.
that.
If Aaron hadn't brought donuts, it might not have happened. And coffee.
Setting the standard.
Yeah.
Okay. Ready to vote? Barb will call the vote.
Dimitri Martin,
Yes.
Alan Keeland,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
9 ayes, 1 absent, motion carried.
All right, thank you, you guys. Good luck to you, Matt, Brittany. Thanks a lot. Next up, we have license report number 1569. This is for the Waupaca Lakeman baseball team. They're just changing the liquor license agent to Josh Peterson. So this is just a change of agent only. We'd be looking for a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mayo, second by Chestnut, that we approve of license report number 1569. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. All right, we have 3 ordinances that are all the first reading. We'll start with ordinance number 05-2022. This is an ordinance amending Chapter 17 of the City of Waupaca zoning ordinance, and this is the first reading. And Jarrett, all 3 of these actually are yours, but you want to start with this one?
Of course. Thank you very much, Mayor. So this starts on page 54 of your packet. There's a red line on page 55. As mentioned before the public hearing, this is part of the residential permitted, conditional, and prohibited uses. Really looking just to add and clarify. So adding condos to R3, clarifying the live-work unit language, adding row house, townhouse to R3, which is multifamily, B1, B2, B3, and B4, or sorry, B1, B3, and B4, which again all permit multifamily already, but not specifically the row house, townhouse. And then upper story residential, adding that to B1, as just again making it a possibility if that is something we would want to see, kind of the mixed use style. Again, first reading. Happy to take any questions.
Do you have any questions on that? Okay, the next one then is 06/2022, and this is an ordinance amending Chapter 17 zoning code, and this is also the first reading.
Thank you very much, Mayor. This one starts on page 57, red line on 58. The transitory accessory structure definition just had some confusing language in there that kind of contradicted our building code standards. Just trying to clean that up, bring it closer to the building code standards so that there's less confusion. It's easier to ensure people are getting the proper permits through the buildings inspection department, and then just making sure the correct things are clarified.
All right, and again, as Jared said, this is the first reading, so we'll move on to, and just a reminder, we did have a public hearing before the council meeting tonight on all three of these ordinances, and so we're just moving forward with how we handle these ordinance changes. This one is ordinance number 07/2022. It's an ordinance also amending Chapter 17 of the zoning code.
Thank you very much again. This one starts on page 59 of your packet. The red line starts on page 65 of your packet. Again, just looking to accommodate our change in use permit, which we have added. That really just ensures zoning compliance, that the correct uses are in the correct zoning districts. Adding some clarification in that, adding the clarification of what staff and what plan commission approves in the site plans. Again, just quite a few pieces of just adding in for the change of use site plan. There's a specific section that we're adding on page 67 of the red line that describes the change in use requirements. So the different requirements that we will check for that the property has when a change of use site plan is brought up. And that would be about it. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions there? You will see all three of these ordinances at our next city council meeting, where we hope that you will vote on those at that time. Okay, next up, we have a updated U.S. Treasury guidance on the ARPA funding with action to appropriate the city ARPA funds. And I know Kathy and Aaron are going to work together on this, so I'll turn it over to Aaron first.
All right, thanks, Mayor Smith. I'll kick this off and then hand it over to Kathy. So on page 70, you'll see a memo that we kind of co-wrote. And what we found is that the United States Treasury came out with a final rule before they were working off of an interim final rule. And the big change in that final rule that went into effect fully on April 1st, so just a few days ago, was that the equation that you can use for revenue replacement changed, which actually makes us eligible to put it into revenue replacement. Again, we have $624,766 that we're looking at from an ARPA standpoint. We've received half of those funds to date. We expect the other half this year. Just to explain the 5.2% rule in the equation for the revenue replacement, it looks back to 2016. It assumes a 5.2% growth in revenue year over year over year. And if you didn't hit those marks, assuming those growths, you can use up to that amount, and that actually for revenue replacement, and that allows us to use the full 624,766 for the revenue replacement. So what I have here, I have a couple bullet points. Doesn't change a whole lot. And council already voted to approve the home repair program. The full amount, instead of going directly to the home repair program, would go to revenue replacement. And then for 2022, $150,000 would be set aside for the home repair program, although the intent of this full 624 would be to go to that home repair program and use it the same way that it was voted on previously. The reason we're staying at $150,000 for 2022 and then resetting a number for future years would be to make sure we stay underneath expenditure restraint numbers. And Kathy, I'm going to kick it to you for that.
Okay. Expenditure restraint is a amounts to about $175,000 worth of state aid each year, as long as we keep our budget each year to a inflationary percentage. So we're always trying to make sure that we aren't increasing our budget and staying in that framework so that we don't lose that revenue. We have in the past few years have moved items into special revenue accounts, it's like the library and I believe the airport and some other ones. So what's that done is we've kept that money in the general fund in our operating as contingency each year. So there's like a plug number that we use to make sure that we still can expand the budget, but within those expenditure restraint guidelines. So this is just a budget. It's not really money to be spent. So what this does help us with is to have this money for the program be part of the general operating budget for 2022 and 2023 until we spend the money that the council feels that we need to on the home repair program. We have to do that because we are taking the ARPA money now into the general operating budget. So by doing that, our expenses have to come out of our general operating budget instead of a special revenue fund that we would have set up just for the ARPA home program. It's just the way you're going to see it in our financial statements going forward. So we just need to have you understand that it's now going to be in the general operating budget. And I know, I'm sorry, this is all a little counties and where we're putting the money, but this is the way that we have to keep our financial reporting to the state to make sure that we continue to receive the $177,000 a year in expenditure restraint. So I'm making sure that we can still do this program using this one-time deal that the feds are giving us to say that if we're under 10 million that of the ARPA funds, you don't have to go in and do a whole lot of reporting for us. You just need to accept this as revenue replacement. So this is the feds trying to help the smaller communities instead of having to do all this paperwork. We will have to report to the feds where we've spent the ARPA money to continue the transparency, but that will be easy to do with the where we're going to be putting it. So I'm confident that this is a good way to show that of our operating budget, we've made up any holes that we have in revenues, but also can do this home improvement program.
Anybody have any questions of Kathy right now? Aaron, do you want to have anything additional to add to that?
No, I think Kathy did a great job.
Okay, so the recommendation then, Aaron, to council?
Yeah, recommendation would be to designate the $624,766 of expected ARPA funding to revenue replacement and allocate $150,000 of that amount in 2022 for the home repair program.
All right.
I will make that into a motion.
Motion by Keelan,
Second.
second by Chestnut, that we recommend to designate 620, I'll read it again. It's like $624,766 of expected ARPA funding to the revenue replacement and allocate $150,000 of that amount in 2022 for the home repair program already approved. All right, any discussion? Yeah, go ahead.
Is there any deadline, Aaron and Kathy, to spend the ARPA funds?
I believe it's 2026, but we have to make this designation before April 30th.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Go ahead.
So if we spend the $150,000 the first year, is the goal then the subsequent year to allocate another $150 and just do that until it's spent?
pretty much.
Okay.
That if there's more, we could expand it a little bit more, but I wouldn't want to get too close to the amount that expenditure restraint doesn't let us go any farther. And we, if we have some other expenses that we have to have within the operating budget, I'm looking at the increase in costs for the Public Works garage may increase our operating budget a little bit more. So that's where I'm looking at that. I want to make sure that there's still some capacity within our general operating budget.
Okay, anybody else? Alan, go ahead.
There was, when we approved this the last time, there was 24,000, the excess on 600,000 was designated for, I guess, not so much the fund, but for overhead, I guess. I don't know what the right term is.
Staffing, administrative
Right.
support.
Is that the same now, or is that something now?
There's no overhead for this because it'll be part of our operating budget.
Okay.
So there isn't the need to do all of the demographic and reporting that you have to do. The reporting is a lot simpler when you take it as revenue replacement. So you could say that I had, based on some of the items that you can use it for, is that you can use it for public safety. So if you had something that you were going to use public safety money for, or the water, or broadband, or sewer, that money just comes in and out of the general fund. So it's a lot easier for reporting for staff and with that money.
But just to say, we'll be able to administer or use more for.
Right.
Okay.
Long story short, too, Colin, is that we did have 24,766 set aside for like an Andrew Dane to help administer it. That would still remain that proportion, and then the 600,000 would be grants.
Okay.
We also, Eric, go ahead.
Yeah. So is this open now for people to be applying?
Yeah. After this action, we will post it as open. After we're ready to go, but as soon as we found out this final rule change, we knew that we'd be bringing this back. So we've kind of told some people that have been asking. We said just hold off a little bit. We'll make an announcement in early April. So tomorrow morning, assuming this gets approved.
And since this is going to be over several years, I'm thinking that the word of mouth and people doing it and talking to their neighbors, it's going to probably people are going to catch on. But I would think at first we're going to probably have to market this a little bit, and maybe we are already out there for people to know about it.
We've had several calls on it over the last 3-4 weeks. It has been, Josh has marketed it some. We will continue to push more of that, but agreed, we will have to do that.
Colin, go ahead.
And another question was related to, I believe that there's a grant that's out there for somewhere around $1 million for a similar program that we haven't been awarded or might be awarded in the future. And would doing it this way cause any problems if we get that grant? Is that a separate, are we going to try and do these things together or separately or?
Yeah, another good question, Colin. I have to report some bad news. That was a series of grants, neighborhood investment grants, they were called. We did not get any of them.
Oh, okay.
We heard back from the DOA. A lot of them went for, if you look at where they were distributed throughout the state, a lot of them went for homelessness type activities, which was a little bit of a surprise test because we didn't see that as a primary focus. But yeah, we had 3 applications out there we did not get approved for.
Okay, then forget that question. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Ready to vote? Barb will call the roll.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Alan Keeland,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Scott Berchatsky,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut.
Aye.
9 ayes, 1 absent, motion carried.
All right, Aaron, Kathy, thank you. Next up is license report number 1570. This is operator's license. You'll see a list of these individuals on page 71. And I just, this is always listed there, but I just want to point this out tonight, especially, you can see at the top, all licenses pending background check, and those have been completed. But also, before they can get their operator's license, all payments of any monies owed to the city must be paid before we get the operator's license. And we do have one individual that is on there we're pending payment on that, so he will not get his license until he pays that in full. So you are approving all of the names tonight, but they are pending those things. You understand? All right? We would need a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Chestnut, second by Martin, that we approve license report 1570. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. Under communicate, we don't have, I'm sorry, Justin, I maybe did change my mind a little bit, but you guys were expecting an update on the Public Works facility tonight, and we've decided to put that off a little bit. Justin, do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, we're putting a presentation together with all the information. We have a majority of it ready to go. We're just kind of waiting on a final deliverable for the financials from Baird as being probably the most important component. So.
That's why if you heard at the last meeting that it was going to be at this meeting, it's not, and that's the reason. Hopefully we'll have something in place. I don't even know if it will be at the next meeting, but it will be fairly soon. Okay. Communications and recommendations of the mayor. First of all, we had an election last night. Want to congratulate all the incumbents that were reelected, and you will be sworn in at the next meeting. If you haven't already heard, actually, Alan Keelan. Alan, again, want to appreciate your years on the city council. This is actually Alan's last city council meeting tonight, and I think he deserves a nice round of applause. There was 2 write-in candidates, and there was a... Barb, why don't you explain that?
Any speech by Al?
Yeah, I'll let him speak right after this, but yeah.
Let's hear the results first.
Yeah, let's hear the results.
Well, we had 853 voters, which is about a 27% turnout, I think. We did have a tie for the District 5. Henry Velliker and Steve Hackett both received 20 votes. And we had a couple other votes that received 1 or 2, or people that received 1 or 2 votes. So we drew their names, or put their names in a hat, drew out the name, and Henry Velliker was the one that his name was drawn. So he is the candidate.
So Henry will actually be sworn in at our next city council meeting.
And just to confirm, Barb and the election workers didn't just decide to put the name in a hat because that's what seemed like the right thing. That is state statute.
Yeah, I guess I should have said that.
Which seems
We all
strange,
learned
doesn't it?
something.
Through all the technology and everything that we have.
Yeah, it's actually.
Thankfully, somebody had a hat.
I did confirm that that's what was supposed to be done before I did it, because I never had that happen before.
Yeah.
So,
Barb, I think also, I'm sorry, it'd be nice to let the people know how many times you recounted and how that was all done and in place.
yes, we actually recounted 4 times, just to be sure. And then we actually went through each name, and there was 2 chiefs and 2 other election workers that were there, and then myself. And so we all went through the names and we all looked at them. So it wasn't done fast.
All right, thanks, Barb. Al, I'm gonna hold you off just a little bit, Alan. I got a few other things. I know sometimes I have nothing, sometimes I have one item, but I got numerous items to talk to you about tonight. First of all, Mark, next Tuesday, April 12th, we are going to have a special city council meeting. And that will start at 6 o'clock. The plan is to present a new position, a position in the finance department for you next week. So, as you all know, Kathy has been our interim finance director. We're going to ask her to continue to be the interim finance director. But we do have a position that we want to recommend to council at that next special city council meeting, if this person agrees, you know. So I might be ahead a little bit here, but I want to get it on your calendar for sure. Okay. Also, we have a special city planning commission meeting that we are going to have. That is going to be on right before a city council meeting on April 19th, and we're going to start that at I think 5:45.
The plan commission?
Yeah.
I think we're planning to start it at, well, we could do it whenever. 5:15 is what I
How
was
long,
thinking.
Jared, do you think we need?
I mean, we went through, what's that?
5:30 is probably
5:55 per Justin's request. Yeah, I mean, we're just, we went over the TID items already, so it's really just the approval of the resolutions.
Okay.
So I would say 5:30 should be plenty.
All right, so we're gonna do 5:30. We know we have council members that we didn't want to make you come in on another date, so we decided to do it on that meeting, that night. Okay, and then also, what's that?
Does Alan have to come again?
Well, technically, he's still on. So if we need a quorum.
So I don't have to speak tonight, then I can speak next time.
Well, that would only be to the planning commission then.
But just leave your little name tag here for a minute.
Also, this is, the next meeting is our organizational meeting. You know, we don't have as many committees and boards and commissions as we've had in the past because we have obviously 2 council meetings to cover a lot of that. But there are appointments that need to be made that I appoint with your approval to those. So if you have any interest in being on a different board or committee, let me know. And I'll do as much as I can to try and get you in that position. And then you come to the next city council meeting. We just decided that we're gonna do a little mixing up, so your seat might not be where your seat is now. We're gonna, kind of like in school, you move kids to the back and other kids to the front. We're gonna do that too. We're gonna allow city staff to decide where you're gonna sit next time, so.
Are they gonna get the hat out again?
Maybe. So look for your name when you come to the next meeting.
Will our desks be moved, or like all the stuff in our desks and everything? Yeah, I mean,
You're
true.
staying where you are.
Okay, yeah, they might decide to.
everything will be taken into consideration.
I guess the desk could actually be moved, but they're not gonna be moved by me, so. Might have to bring in public work guys. I digress, though. Okay. All right, I think that's all I have. Before I turn it over to Alan, do I have any other council members that have anything for tonight? Any staff that would like to say anything tonight? If you saw those 3 young gentlemen in the back of the room, one of them was Chief Elzel's son and a couple of their friends. They had some interest in city politics, so they showed up very well behaved. I thought they were better behaved than their father. Yeah.
From what I understand, if they do a paper, they get extra credits. So you'll probably see them here for every meeting the rest of the year.
Okay, there you go. That's an incentive, right? All right.
A little incentive there.
So going back to Alan, I jumped the gun a little bit by this, but I wanted to make sure you got all of this information. So especially don't forget about the 12th. I want to make sure that, and we'll get you an agenda Friday by noon at the latest on that, to confirm that. So I guess technically, Alan, you would be at that meeting too, but I'll let you speak tonight.
Thank you. You know, it was a little over 9 years ago that I stood at the podium out there and tried to persuade the council why I should be elected to this seat rather than the fellow I was running against. 4 of you were here at that time, and the rest of you have all been newcomers since I've been on council. I've had fun. That's what I said at Plan Commission last night. I had fun doing this, and now I just don't know what I'm going to do with my time. I won't have 300 and some pages to read every once in a while.
Well, you can still read them, Alan.
Yeah, I suppose I could. But anyway, it's been a lot of fun. Great serving with you. You're all very good people, very competent staff. Especially that, I like that. And thank you.
Again, thanks a lot. All right, with that, we need a motion to adjourn. Paul Hagan. Alan?
Second.
Second by Keelan. Hagan, Keelan. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. We're adjourned at 7:38 PM. Have a great night. Drive safe. Hope for some.